It's not about perfectionism anymore. It really isn't. Now people pay for flawed work. Like, you know what's happening in the art world, man? People are actually notarizing that they made this thing, they painted this thing by hand, and it's worth more than the perfection that AI can provide. What used to be the longing for perfection is now becoming the longing for imperfection, to recognize where people really put incredible amount of care and detail into something.
One of the reasons why some of the classics are so appreciated is because you look at it and say, all right, the brush strokes were done in this particular manner, and this actually is an expression of what he's going through. Whereas an AI has no possible thing other than input picture comes out, it's stamped, but there's nothing else attached to it. Even if the visual's better, the soul isn't present. But if there's no personality and soul behind it, no one's going to relate with it.
Hello, and welcome to the $1 Million Electrician Podcast, where we help home service pros like you supercharge your business and spark up those sales.
I'm Joseph Lucani, and together with my co-host Clay Newmeyer, we're here to share the secrets that have helped electricians sell over $1 million from a single service van.
Now it's time for sales. It's time for scale. It's time to become $1 million electrician. All right, welcome back. Hello, Joe. Welcome back, you guys. By popular request, we've got another episode going through more leads and getting more leads and how to attract better people to your business. And you know what? This actually bleeds in beyond just getting new clients. It also actually gets you more electricians too. And when you build this killer brand, you could really sit on top of your marketplace like a hyper local hero. So we want to help you with that at all times. So we're going to give you an exact rundown on this from a couple different perspectives today on what's been working for electricians within Service Loop Electrical and what we would consider the fastest path to leads and getting service leads now that we just keep seeing people crank out. So you ready to get into this today, Joe?
I'm pumped. And I love how you started it, because literally there's a story I have of how I joined a company from an ad they put out to attract more customers. So I'd love to physically get into that one as well, because I'm the proof that it worked.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, It's a huge piece of it. And I think really any efforts that put you out in your marketplace typically also make you uncomfortable. And that's one of the biggest problems. And we're going to address that today too, because really at the end of the day, Joe, like no one else is going to grab the megaphone, climb to the top of this little electric mountain and cry out their own name like they can, like you guys can. So if you're watching, if you're listening to this, please know that this one is for you and you really need to get the courage. And so we're going to give you some tricks, some techniques, so at least you can spend the most time in the most productive places while doing that.
You know, you mentioned something right off the jump, and I think that's the best place to start. Like, I personally am not a marketer. It's not my expertise. I can fully admit that. But at the same time, I'd also like to say, I know exactly how scary it is to put yourself out there. Like, it's one of those moments where you're like, I need work. I recognize I need work, but I have no idea how to get a lead without looking like a fool in the process, or just spending money on the pay-per-click or throwing money at Google and be like, fix my problem. So if you're the electrician who's starting out, you don't have a perspective where you think you know everything or you're super confident, where would I start? I'm the unconfident electrician trying to get a lead. What do I do?
Yeah, I'm even going to lean in to say this, Joe. I love marketing. I love buyer psychology. I love what marketing is. I love that I've also faced those challenges. Even in this business, when we started it, we were in new territory, and it was nerve-wracking to put ourselves out there as professionals and attract the leads that we wanted to help. It's really a frustrating and unnerving thing. And I know so many of us share this. So first and foremost, you got to know there's a golden rule here. You're the best. You're the best. You have to believe you're the best. And I kind of use like serenity prayer logic here, Joe, because there's things in my control and there's things outside of my control. And what's outside of my control is if anyone else gets hired to do the work that a homeowner or a business owner, whatever they need, it's totally outside of my control if Tank Top Terry gets that job. It's totally outside of my control if Chuck in the truck gets that work. And then what do we do as electricians? We tend to go back to our Facebook group and say, God, I just got underbid to crap. Someone else got this work. Do you guys think my pricing is okay? And that whole thing just inspires more fear. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy of low marketing energy. Does that make sense?
It does. And I agree with you when you're talking about the serenity prayer, because my personal belief is that which is meant to hit you could never miss you. And that meant to miss you will never hit you. So yeah, you may go on top of the mountaintop and cry your name out, but any repercussion that comes after that, it's written for you. So if you can go into the acceptance of like, I'm going to do the best I can, and whatever follows it, that's not up to me. But I'm going to do my best to at least put myself out there and say, I'm going to at least try. Like the very least, I'm going to put myself out there and try.
Yeah, absolutely. So forgive me for spending so much time on the psychology of this early on, but who am I to tell you what to do if you're not even going to go do it? So let's fix the deep rooted issues first. Something I learned from Grant Cardone actually when I was coming up and learning marketing, and think what you will of Grant Cardone, the guy's done some pretty amazing things and some kind of silly and stupid things too. But I like to take from everyone, Bruce Lee principle. Take what works, block what doesn't, make it your own.
Jeet Kune Do.
So
Yeah.
Grant Cardone taught me something about prospecting. And this one thing really changed and allowed me to speak louder, grab that megaphone and do more. And it was that everyone's a prospect, he would say. Everyone. If you know someone or you have an experience with someone, good or bad, that made you memorable. And so you need to be in touch and communication with memorable people. So even when I decided and unlocked myself, decided to help others, other businesses, not go where I've been, I even reached out to people I fought in high school. Like there was literally a guy that I reached out to on Facebook and I said, "Hey man, I just wanted to let you know that it looks like you're living a great life. Looks like you got a family and stuff. I didn't spend much time here, but I have been thinking about you and how stupid I was back then. I didn't deserve a friend like you. So I just wanted to hopefully bury the hatchet and let you know that I have no ill feelings towards you. And I hope the same is true for you too, 20 years later."
You are a better man than me because I still want to punch my high school bullies.
It was a big move because you know what that person sees next?
All ears. Teach me.
I took control, right? So that apology led to a reply where he said, "Well, yeah, no problem, man. That's old school stuff. And I'm not concerned about that either. Thank you. It looks like you're living a healthy life too. Wish you the best." It was just like that. But then you become friends on Facebook or he sees our ads. All of a sudden, this goes from someone who may have been one of those negative reviewers to someone actually paying attention to the journey going, "That's interesting." Now, I'm not saying this is where you start necessarily,
Mm-hmm.
but prospecting starts with everyone who already knows you. And we shouldn't overlook anyone who has that experience, has that knowledge. And that's why we often say that setting up your social medias, your Facebooks, for example, has been a heavy one, not the business Facebook page, but your personal Facebook page and the business page. And leveraging your personal page to grow your following and grow their interest in your journey. Think of it like reality TV. Joe, you might not have ever paid attention to the trend of it, but would
Mm-hmm.
you agree that reality TV has blown up and in some ways awfully, but
Yeah.
like it's blown up. It's one of the most popular things to ever happen for people to watch stories.
I guess what a great example of that is I remember being a kid and following this, hearing this show called Jersey Shore that was out. And I'm sitting, I'm
Yeah.
like, this is garbage. It's never kick on. And they're apparently still doing stuff like 20 years later. And I'm like, how? Because people get emotionally invested in things. And it's less about the content and it's more about their attachment to the outcome that comes from it. The relation of, oh, that could be me or that's like me. That's really the starting part of marketing. And it's the same thing with the reality TV shows.
Bingo. In the last episode we recorded, we talked about how the relation, as you mentioned, and know, like, and trust are so important. Well, a business has a lot of trouble gaining that kind of relationship, the know, like, and trust. So I like to adjust this phrase and say people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. And so
Mm-hmm.
we have to let a person shine through this business entity, your brand, even if, hey, you might hear some scaling and branding experts one day way down the road for you when you're approaching multiple 7 or even 8 figures of business might say, "Hey, we got to get you out of the brand identity and let the brand come forward on its own." But that's a totally different beast. And if you're early on, you need to leverage your character. And that's why we have what we call a Facebook cheat sheet and a content cadence that goes basically character, affinity, just meaning relation things like favorite restaurant, favorite tools, cool books you read, things you did with your kids, etc., stuff like that. But then authority. It can't be teacher versus students because no one will ever actually engage with your content if you're always the teacher, you're always the professional, you're always above those people that you're talking to. That doesn't work well. Does that make sense, Joe?
It really does. I can get where you're coming from. At the end of the day, it's you have to be a person. And I guess a good example of that is when we first, started getting together and working together and all this, I didn't know how to market for the life of me. And I'm super uncomfortable putting myself out there. And yet you're right. If you don't show the person, no one will believe anything you do. So now if you look at my Facebook, it's lightsaber choreography and like me talking about all the nerdy stuff that I'm into. And there may be some people who are like, whatever. But there's other people who are like, I like that. That's me too. And now we've got something common that we can share over, and a little bit of the personality shines through.
100%. 100%, man. And so if you leverage this, if you can shine through, then the only thing you're missing is adding people every single day. And if you
Mm-hmm.
do this on Facebook and you keep adding people, you're going to see more and more mutual friends, people that would recognize your name, people that would add you. Bonus tip, add realtors. They're adding people all the time, social media, and just post consistently. Be your own reality TV series. If you do that, you're going to be able to later leverage this in a very big way. And even now, the people who truly do care about you are going to follow your journey and they're going to feel compelled to introduce you to their electric problems over someone else. And that's really the most important piece that we need to get into next.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love you're getting into it. And I also feel like if you're going to continue going through that, I think a good sign that you're marketing the right way is when the customer calls you and then they bring up something about you or about your business. Like if a customer approached me and said, "Hey, I saw you were doing in uniform an autism run. I think that's great. My son's also on the spectrum." And now we can share on that. But if they didn't know that, they might not even call us in the first place, let alone bond over it, make a friend because of it.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's really important. And we call that organic marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Organic meaning it just took a bit of your time. It didn't really take money. Social media, you may have even heard people call it social marketing. I mean, there's so many ads and so many people starting to do this now that it can feel overwhelming. But I promise you, people on there are still scrolling on average about 400 feet a day with an
Ugh.
average post review time of 1.8 seconds. So most times, short and sweet wins the race. If you're going to use AI, please know that we did a little study in our class where literally 90% of the people put their hand up when I asked, "Hey, could you recognize AI in text on the phone, etc.?" And then the
Mm-hmm.
next question I asked them was, "Put your hand up if you feel like this adds value when you recognize it's AI, that you feel they care about you more." And zero hands went up. Unanimous agreement that when we face AI in our journey each day, we actually feel less cared for, not more cared for. So while there's a place for it, while it's necessary sometimes, more on that as we go, not in this episode today. It's important to not look like you're over leveraging AI. And this
Mm-hmm.
is really simple to do. I mean, at this date, if you're not using ChatGPT or have the app on your phone, you're missing a huge, huge potential upside because you can talk to it and it will give you content. And this is how I recommend you do content. Please do not go to ChatGPT and say, "Hey, can you make posts for me for the next month? I'm an electrician." Rather, "Hey, here's 10 great reviews we just got about our service. And here's the stories that go with them. I'll talk to you and tell you them. Then please make 10 personalized posts from those or 20 personalized posts from those that sound like me." There's a vast difference here. And then the next
Mm-hmm.
thing I want you guys to do is please get rid of those M dashes. I hate these things. You know that long dash, Joe, or you can just tell, oh, that's AI.
Mm-hmm. I remember you
Yeah,
pointing that out at one point and being like, "Remember, you always got to make sure that those aren't there." I'm like, "All right, great," because I know nothing about ChatGPT.
100%. It's not about perfectionism anymore. It really isn't. Now people pay for flawed work. Like, you know what's happening in the art world, man? People are actually notarizing that they made this thing, they painted this thing by hand, and it's worth more than the perfection that AI can provide.
Because people can draw
So,
the passion into it.
absolutely. So we recognize work still. What used to be the longing for perfection is now becoming the longing for imperfection, to recognize where people really put incredible amount of care and detail into something.
Yeah, when you bring up, I like where you're going with this, because if you really go back to the paint analogy in the painting, one of the reasons why some of the classics are so appreciated is because you look at it and say, all right, the brush strokes were done in this particular manner, but at the time he was going through this, and this actually is an expression of what he's going through. Whereas an AI has no possible thing other than input picture, picture comes out, it's stamped, but there's nothing else attached to it. Even if the visual is better, the soul isn't present. And that could be the case with your marketing. I can have an ad, but if
Yeah,
there's no personality and soul behind it, no one's going to relate with it.
definitely. Definitely agree. And speaking of ads, I mean, we're all going to get there one day, especially if you're listening to this. One of the barriers to entry that can really help you take advantage of right now is there's still 99% of guys aren't going to do video. They're not going to do video content. They're not
Mhm.
going to do video ads. And you can actually check on this yourself. If you want to see if there's video ads or video content, just go to the Facebooks of some of these local businesses around you. Look for things like video testimonies with customers. You're not going to see it. It's a harder thing to get. So very people climb that tree. You're not going to see ads. If you go to Facebook ads library, you can actually look up any business's current running ads. And I bet you even the biggest companies around you aren't using video ads. They might be running a static post, which is just like a picture with some text on it offering some sort of free inspection. But I promise you guys, if you get good at these things now, if you'll just suck now and keep working on it now, then what will happen is in a year or two, you're going to get good at this. And the differences you'll notice is things like, hey, on our website, we literally have an introduction video that's about 4 minutes long that explains how we do business here to serve homeowners at a higher level. No one else will have that, right? On your website, you might have a team section with brief 2-minute interviews with each of your staff members, not on all the technical crap, but the stuff that helps you relate to them as a homeowner. The stuff that's like, Joe, why did you get into
Mhm.
the trade? Right? What was your journey like? What's your favorite meal? When's your birthday? What's your family like? Do
Mhm.
you have kids? Are you a dad? What's your obsession with Star Wars? These are like fun things that can be video content that help people actually get to know your team. And you might be thinking, well, I wouldn't go on a website and start watching these interviews. But okay, wait a minute. What if when you book a call with Service Loop Electrical and we actually set you up with a known tech to come to your house, the specialist that we guarantee is perfect for this job? What if we then send you the contact
Mhm.
card so you could save it in your phone and recognize when they call or we call? But also, then in the next communication, there's a link to, hey, by the way, before Joseph gets to your home, we know some people really like to get to know the person before they have a stranger in their house. And we do all these cool little interviews with our staff. And so here's a bio on Joe with his current certifications and specialties, as well as a personal interview that you could check out yourself. It only takes 90 seconds, and I trust that you'll get to know Joe quite a bit. Let me know if you have any troubles opening that up.
I'm actually I've been a convert to this, because originally I thought it was bullshit, for lack of better words. I was like, yeah, no one's going to care about this. And as a result, I didn't think much of it. But I started working with an HVAC company that I really, really like. But the reason I liked it was the tech was coming. I was like, all right, my kids are here. My wife is here. I'm going to be doing it. I may not be present the whole time. I'm like, could I trust this guy? I saw the face. He had a bio about him. I'm like, all right, we connect over this. That's fine. Yeah, okay. At least I know who's coming here. So when he opened the door, I was like, hey, Mark? He's like, yeah, great. Joe, nice to meet you. Come on in. Let's talk. And at least it was a better connection that was made, even though I didn't think it was going to work. And I always end up buying. So, you know what? It's a proven factor that even those who may not be believers at first, once you recognize when it matters, it's my family, my kids, all right, now I'll check it out, and now it matters to me.
Bingo, man. Bingo. This is so huge. And it's something that we're quite invested in with our own company and with teaching our clients current to this day. Is something we call back end selling. Really, it's mostly rapport
Mhm.
building. It's mostly informing people ahead of sending a tech out there into the fire. You know what? A perfect example of this, Joe, is that free inspection piece we touched on. Hey guys,
Yeah.
we're doing free inspections for October, so give Service Loop Electrical a call. We'll come to your house. find your faults, and then try to sell you on them. Like, no tech enjoys that call. Can we just agree on that?
Oh, 100%. And if anything, they're probably dreading it. And here's why. A lot of times people put in and say it's a free inspection because we're going to throw a wide net. And as a technician who had to go out and deal with free inspections, you're going to get the people who don't care, but they're like, I want to look into it. Maybe I can figure it out myself. Or you'll get the person who's like, there was nothing really going on this day, and you told me it was a $50 rebate if we don't do something. I just want my $50. Can you get in and out? Instead, even if you charge $50 for it, the technician's going to be happier because you at least removed the low bottom barrel trolls. So when I
Yeah.
do get there, I have at least the opportunity to meet and connect with someone.
100%. 100%. So I'm just going to keep doubling down on this personalized user generated video content because it continues to serve again and again and again. You've said it yourself, Joe. You saw the videos. Now, what do most people do when they ask for the review? Well, let's be honest, most aren't asking. This is really important piece of your marketing. The next steps we need is to get you to 100 reviews, just like Forrest said, on Google. We want that GVP inherent reputation so that when people see you there, they see a crowd of people that have used you and said great things about you. This is so important. So why aren't we asking for the reviews 100% of the time? I'm going to take this back to the serenity prayer, brother. We have to. What are the things in my control? Every time I ask an electrician, well, what's your review rate? And they go, pardon? What do you mean review rate? Out of every 10 calls you go to, how many reviews do you get? They always say somewhere between 30 and 70%, which, by the way, most people who say 70 aren't quite there even. It tends to be something you're shooting from the gut. You don't have it measured and managed. Okay, well, how often do you ask? Well, we try to harp on the,
The
you remember,
CSR does it.
these responses, right? It's like you're digging for something, but it ain't the truth, brother. Like, you got to ask every single time, what can we control? Hey, we aim for 5-star level of service every single time. Joseph, how were we at accomplishing that today on a scale of 1 to 5? Please be brutally honest with me. Where are we at, brother?
I love that. And can we go even one step further? Because it's
Yes.
one thing to ask, but the next thing is all of us have a billion things on that list. You know how we first started talking about the honeydews? The thing is that if someone has even the slightest barrier, oh, I logged into my email, but the password wasn't correct. All right, screw it. I'm not doing it at all. Or you
Not
know what? I
happening.
want to put it on Google, but yeah, whatever the thing is. So when you ask, do you have the means of taking them exactly where it is, whether it's a QR code that they scan or whether it's a link that you send them, and then say, because I want to ensure you don't have to have anything more on your plate, don't have to look for an email, don't have to dig into your desktop later, I'll send it to you right now, and I'll be here right here so that if you have any questions or any concerns, I'll literally walk you through the whole thing. So it can be done within 25 seconds. Where would you like me to send the review to? And it's
I
right into
agree.
the ask.
Wholeheartedly. So step 1 to the reviews, you got to ask 100%. You have to know. I don't expect that every single person will leave a review, by the way. Some won't, and some you won't
Mhm,
want to. You'll want to
mhm,
solve some problems first, and then maybe they'll give you the 5-star review.
mhm.
Either way, you need the opportunity to make sure your reputation lives up to that 5 stars that I know, that Joe knows you guys are aiming for. So you got to ask 100% of the time. Imagine a company that gets 30% reviews and only asks 30% of the time. Hey, they're batting 1,000 for the times they ask, but what
Mhm.
about the other 7 clients?
Nothing.
And they go, I don't know.
We send them an email. It's like
Right.
that's it. Like that's a email request.
How many times, Joe, have you been not satisfied enough to leave a review, but also not angry enough to leave a bad review either? How many times
Almost.
have people left you in the middle?
So very, very rarely. And let me just explain the thing. I will more often write a review if I'm 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. And I won't write the bad review for 3 to 2s out of 5s.
Mm,
But I will write the review for 1 out of 5. And the reason being is, as a business owner, someone who's had businesses before, I know the damage one bad review can do. And I got to be
yeah.
dead certain that you effed this up in a big way, or you intended on it, or you had the wrong motives, or you just did not care. Because if I put that out there, It's more of my saying, there is a warning. Don't go with this guy. Don't do it. And this is what happened to me. But unless I
Yeah.
feel that strongly, I won't condemn the people because I wouldn't want someone doing that to me.
Yeah. And it becomes not worth the conflict. So here's
Mm-hmm.
my truth on the matter. If I'm pissed off, I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And it won't always be that I will initiate that conversation. But if I'm not happy and you ask, I will tell you because it's often that I'm actually a bit upset at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pissed off. I'm going to go and bitch behind your back later.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally how I feel as a customer when this stuff happens. And it's the simplest things. Like you walk into a shop, someone makes eye contact and then goes back to their work and no one says anything. I'm not going to go leave a review, but that was horseshit.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if your customers felt that way and you didn't even know. This is the part of lead generation and marketing that no one's fucking talking about. Excuse my French, but it's so important because what do we do with reviews? Well, the language that's in there is what matters to our future customers too.
Mm-hmm.
And the stuff that we didn't extract is exactly where we're going to crash and burn. And Charlie Munger said it best, like, show me where I'll die and I'll never go there. That's why we got to say, hey, be brutally honest with me. Tell me what really happened here so I can fix it. Help me, help you, and others like you.
Mm-hmm.
Guy might say now, well, you were late. And that actually was kind of a disruption because I took time from work. He showed up an hour later. Like, I don't have all day. That might be something where they won't leave in a review, but you could
Mm-hmm.
still fix it if you meet it head on. And you can use that for your content and your inspiration to position your business better. As Joe always says, it's positioning, not pressure. These
Mm-hmm.
are the elements of your positioning. Go ahead, brother.
You know, that the second thing that goes attached to that, which I think is so cool, is that sometimes you'll have a client who's like me, and sometimes you'll have a client who's like you, but there's also a third client who is willing to complain, but not to you, which is why we developed the
Mm-hmm.
CSR happy call process, where they're literally asking certain questions that elicit an emotional response and then position themselves as the person who can help see you through those conflicts and resolve them and rectify them in real time. Because you know what? They may come to me like, Joe, how did I do? How was my service? Don't worry about it. It's fine. You did a good job. Thank you. I hope you have a great day. Yeah, you too. Got it. And then you have this other situation where the CSR calls, like, hey, did Joe give you an amazing experience? I'm glad you asked. Actually, not. And here's why. So, as
Yeah,
long as you have that multiple person who can then come in, a secondary person who could then ask the question, I'd rather them tell me than tell everyone else. If you had a great experience, tell everyone. If you had a bad experience, tell me so I can fix it.
100%. And I know we started this hunting for leads and marketing, and we're going so deep in like just the preemptive measures to be
Mhm.
great at marketing and have a killer brand or these things. And if you get these things right, I promise you guys, everything else will be easier. Everything else will be infinitely easier. If you're having troubles getting to 100 leads on Google, then here's a literal strategy we just designed for a guy in a class. And then we got to cut this one off. We'll have to do a part 2 on it, Joe, because we're going to
Mhm.
run out of time at the half hour mark here. So the guy says, hey, my LSA, my Google is not quite cranking out yet. LSA being local service ads, one way to get Google to pay Google to give you lead.
Mhm.
Well, he only has under 30 reviews, only been in an area for 6, 7 months. So we look at it and we say, okay, well, what is working for you? What's filling your schedule now? And he says, well, Angie's leads actually provided like a 15x. I know everyone shits on them, but we've been actually doing good. It just takes a lot of grind, you know? In the same breath, he says, but we just hired our CSR and we're looking for ways to leverage them. So some of the facts are starting to come together. We got a 15x from Angie's leads. We got an unleveraged CSR, and we have not enough reviews for Google to fully be monetized yet. So the goal, fully monetize Google. Why? Because that's where high intent homeowners are going and searching for electricians still to this
Mhm.
day. Yes, I know AI is capturing a big part of this audience, but it's still a 70-30 at least. The
Mhm.
majority are going to Google to look for an electrician still. We got to get up there. We have to be a phone call coming in. That's a huge, huge priority and a massive privilege to have just inbound leads. Man, how spoiled are we, right? You don't have to do anything. They just call you and you pay the
Mhm.
bill. That's amazing. We should capitalize on that. So here's what we designed. Hey, at 15x on Angie's, let's figure out your average ticket, your average opportunity based on conversion. Let's figure out what your cost per lead is on Angie's, and let's do the simple math and actually design a strategy so that you know exactly how many Angie's leads you need to then get the reviews from Angie's and put them over to Google by, like Joe said, having a link that goes back to Google. Because you don't want your reviews on Angie's. You want them on Google, the channel that you're trying to improve.
Mhm.
And with that great return on ad spend on Angie's, it made perfect sense. And so throttling your calendar, having your CSR do more pre-qualification, having them set you up for success by setting the right appointments on your calendar while they do all the speed to lead and heavy lifting of just finding you the right people. We found that this individual needs about 100 Angie's leads to get another 70 reviews. Bingo, bongo, boom. There's your strategy. Whereas some electricians I know are just like, well, we're trying to get leads. We're asking more. And when you dive deeper and you really ask, well, have you reviewed the CSR calls, the happy calls? Well, no, but I think they're making them. Well, have you reviewed with your sales techs? Are they asking every time? Your service techs, are they asking every time? Well, I think so. We're working on the process. It's like there's always a level of
Mhm.
accountability higher. You know what I mean, Joe?
Yeah.
Victor versus victim.
Oh, that's something I want to get into at one point, the victor versus victim mentality, because that's huge. That has so much into this.
Again, the circle's so much around serenity prayer. But if
Mhm.
you get these basics right, guys, then you can accomplish anything. You can go to the top of that mountain and shout. You have earned the right to ask if they got a 5-star experience. You have earned the right to get better at video to explain how good you are at the service you provide and how much you focus on the homeowner experience. And one of the biggest hacks I could give you guys to absolutely put rocket fuel in this, avgas, into your jet is to get a sales journal and a
Mhm.
marketing journal and to literally write this stuff down. And that might sound old school. So then pick up your phone, use that Chat GPT app, and stay in the same thread every time where you just keep giving it. Hey, I was on a call today and Mrs. Henderson talked about how, yeah, the GFI was a problem, but it was also disruptive. And she told us how, you know what, when they plug multiple things in the circuits, it was tripping, and that was impacting them because they're trying to take their kids to school and their husband leaves at the same time. And these little micro details are so important because
Mhm.
you start to lay out who you're actually talking to, which
Mhm.
relates perfectly back to what we were talking about last time about just making the most of your relationships by understanding and relating to the people that you serve. And then taking a breath, Joe. I've crammed as much as I could into this, as little time as we possibly could. Obviously, it's going to part two, man.
Mhm.
I don't even know if I answered your one question, though.
At the end of the day, though, you know what? It's a rope that continues. You're able to pull, right? Because as we go through it, we're like, all right, I'm going to go to the next level. But as you go to the next level, it's not just that it goes wide, it goes tall. It actually goes wider. There's a depth to the thing. You're like at the first rung, there are so many feet down to go. So I think it's important that we understand the basics in order to master the advanced.
Yep, I agree. I agree. At first, forget all the branding stuff. Don't go crazy on that. Go crazy on your personal story, your brand origin story. Go crazy on letting people know your journey, on capturing this like reality TV. Go crazy on reputation. Go crazy on making sure that you serve every person like your first and your last customer ever. Go crazy on the stories behind it. Go crazy on the relations. Go crazy on keeping track of all that stuff so that later you can go crazy on telling those stories in your marketing, in your ads. This will be the stuff that will make you irresistible because these are the extra efforts that, guess what? No one else is doing, Joe. No one's doing it. If you guys want the whole leads roadmap, you can go to $1,000,000electricians, plural, with an S on the end.com. $1,000,000electricians.com. If you scroll down, there's a few roadmaps in there, but if you scroll down, you'll get roadmap 1 and 2 of the leads, as well as about a half-hour presentation from yours truly on those things to help you out with this. And we'll do a part 2 next time, Joe. Thanks so much for this. And thanks to our sponsors, Duramax, for providing all the power needed for these sessions. And if you
Mhm.
guys are interested in being a part of the community, please go to electricserviceapp.com and join the group. We'd love to see you in the community. We'll talk to you soon.
Be blessed, my friends. Take care.